So today's, what is my intention is, yesterday I told you one interview question. What is that interview question? How many components are there in a Spring Boot? How many components? 4 components. How many components? 4 components are there in the Spring Boot. Yesterday I explained. I didn't start today's class. Listen, just listen. So what I said, there are 4 components are there in the Spring Boot. First one I said auto configuration. Second one starter. Third one CLI. Fourth one actuators. So this is what the 4 components are there in the Spring Boot. And you know very well. Auto configuration means, Spring Boot follows auto configurations internally. So we are doing only minimum configurations only. We are doing only minimum configurations. And I told you yesterday, if you want to do minimum configurations, here we don't have any XML file. Here we have applications.properties file or applications.YAML file. YAML file. Either properties file will come or YAML file will come. So inside this file only we need to do minimum configuration. And maximum configuration will be done by Spring Boot. Spring Boot will take maximum configuration, that is known as auto configuration. Okay, sir, we got an idea, sir. So whenever we create a project, by default in every project, we will get applications.properties file. Which file we will get? Applications.properties file will get automatically, sir. See this, I will open the yesterday's project, first Spring Boot. Let me expand that project. Go to main resources. Main resources, I want to go, click on main resources, applications.properties file. It's a configuration file. No, sir, I don't want to use application.properties file. You can take applications.YAML file. So there only we'll do configurations. So in interview, they will ask you, can you please tell me, where do we do configurations in the Spring Boot? So in Spring Boot, we will do configurations in application.properties file or application.YAML file, any one file. Okay, that is not important. Leave it. Auto configuration, we understood, sir. Maximum Spring Boot only will take care. Name itself. Automatic configuration. Auto configuration. But today we need to focus on what here? Starter. Today's my intention to teach you what is starter. Starter is nothing but what here? It is a dependency descriptor. Dependency descriptor. Sir, dependency descriptor means I didn't understand. Remember, with the help of starter only, we can add the jar files in class path. Where we can add? We can add the jar files in class path, means you can add the jar files in your project. That is the reason. So with the help of starter, our development will becomes what here? Faster. Development becomes what here? Faster and easier also. Why easier? We are not doing that one. We are not adding the jar file. I will tell to the starter, I need this dependency in my project. Please take the dependency. So starter will add the dependency in our project. So tell me, development will become faster and easier or not? So remember, so starter is very, very, very important. Yesterday we created a project, but we did not take any help of starter. I created a normal project, means Spring Boot starter project, but we did not add any dependency because I want to print only hello world. So I don't require any dependency. But today, in today's example, I will create one project. That is also Spring Boot starter project only. But I will tell to the starter which dependency I want. Which dependency I want. But sir, you need to remember, there are two types of starters are there actually. There are two types of starter. Predefined starter, third-party starter. So predefined starter means every starter follow this naming convention only. Spring Boot starter. What I'm doing? Spring Boot starter. And here we should write the name of that one. Sir, a name of that one I didn't understand. Star means what? Suppose if you want to create a controller, MVC. So we need to use web starter, web dependency. What we should use? Web dependency. Sir, I want to interact with database, sir. Spring Boot starter data-jpa dependency. Suppose if you want to spring-boot-starter-test for testing the Spring Boot, that dependency we need to add. Understood my point here now? So don't worry. So you follow the naming conventions. So whenever we whenever starter is adding the dependency, this is the format it will use in our project in pom.xml file. Because every Spring Boot project is a Maven project. What file will be created? Pom.xml file. In pom.xml file, like this names will come. And remember, when it comes to third party starter, first star, then we need to go for what? Spring Boot starter. First the name will come, then starter will come. Spring Boot starter. In interviews, they will ask you, how predefined third-party starter naming convention starts with star, Spring Boot starter. Predefined, Spring Boot starter, then star. Reverse. So now what I will do, I will show you here so that you can understand easily. Spring Boot provides number of starters. It is not like 1, 2, 3, no. Number of starters. It will give you a lot of starters that allows us to add jars in the class path. It is adding the jar files. Spring Boot built-in starters make developments easier and rapid. Rapid means faster. You know, car name, car is there, car. Car name is Swift. What's the car name? You know what's the meaning of Swift? Fast. Understood my point here now? So like that it is. So remember, Spring Boot built-in starters make development easier and rapid because we are not adding the dependency. We are telling to the starter is adding the dependencies. So development becomes easier. Spring Boot starters are dependency descriptors. We are telling we want web dependency. We want Spring Data JPA dependency. We want test dependency. We need Mongo dependency, MongoDB dependency. Like that, we are telling this dependency descriptor. We are describing that one. So everyone follow the naming conventions like that only. Last, test, web, validation, security, data JPA, data MongoDB, mail. So these are the predefined built-in starters, naming conventions. But if you comes to the what here, third-party starters, first what it will come? Name, then it will go for what? Spring Boot starter. So remember, in the Spring Boot, we can take the support of third-party starters also, and we can create our application. Understood everyone? Starter? So tell me if you need any dependency, to whom you will tell? Starter. Starter will add the dependency. Where it will add the dependency? pom.xml file. Yes, it will add in pom.xml file. Okay, sir. Starter I understood, sir. Second component I understood today. Sir, yesterday I have one doubt, sir. Sir, yesterday we created one project here. Yesterday we created a project. Go to main Java. Go to the main Java. Open. I open this one. This is my main Java. Coding is very easy, sir. Coding 5 minutes. I told you na. Today I will take only half an hour to 40 minutes class. Enough. Half an hour to 40 minutes. Not more than that one. That much coding is easy. So you practice only coder. You practice only coder. See here, yesterday's project it is. Yesterday's program it is. Yesterday I wrote, I love Spring Boot programming. Leave it. But there is a one annotation is coming. What is that annotation? @ Spring Boot application. So might be in interview they will ask you. Can you please tell me what is this @ Spring Boot annotation? So remember, this annotation is actually a combination of 3 annotations. It's a combination of 3 annotations. See here. First one I can say @ enable auto configuration annotation, @ component scan, @ configurations. So you know very well, in Spring Boot, are we doing maximum configuration or minimum configuration? Minimum configuration. Who is doing maximum configuration? Spring Boot. With the help of what annotation? @ enable auto configuration. So this annotation only internally calls enable auto configuration, and that annotation will do the configuration for Spring Boot. You don't need to do. Application will take care. Sir, what is the purpose of component scan? Component scan means you are creating one project, right? You are creating one project, but every project is having one package, com.ihub.www. This is called base package. So what is the duty of @ component scan? You know, it will check where is that base package, and it will go and execute our main program from that base package only. Understood my point here now? So tell me, what is your base package? com.if.www. So @ component scan is used to scan the package where the application is located. So tell me, every program we are writing in that package only, na? Yes. And next is what here? @ configuration. See here, we created yesterday Spring Boot, but I didn't do anything. I didn't do any extra configuration. Suppose if you want to do extra configuration, so that time, who will come? @ configuration. It allows us to register extra beans in a context or import additional configuration classes. For example, suppose if I want to add Spring Security. Spring Security means you cannot give the request. If you give the request, it will ask username, password. That is known as what? Spring Security. So Spring Security, we cannot write Java class. No. That class we need to write with @ configuration. Then it will become configuration class. Then that configuration class we can use in the Spring Boot. So please, if anyone says to you tomorrow, can you please tell me what is this @ Spring Boot application annotation? Tell them, sir, this annotation is a combination of 3 annotations. First one, @ enable auto configuration, @ component scan. Third one, @ configuration. Understood my point here now? So tell them that 3 annotations it is. Okay, sir, we understood now. So now what we need to do? We need to go to the next one. Where to do Spring Boot application configuration, sir? Okay, one second. Where to do Spring Boot application configuration? How many files are there? Application.properties file, application.yaml file. Yes or no? Tell me. Yes. Hello. 420. Okay now. So now you can see here, this configuration we can do. Means if you want to do any configuration, so we need to use application.properties file or YAML file. So here only we will do configurations. Next in interview, they will ask you, can you explain a stereotype annotation? Stereo means old type of annotations. So remember, old annotation means @component, @configuration, @service, @repository, @controller. These are known as stereotype annotations. So tell me, can you remember this? It is very important. Remember controller, service, repository, component, configuration. Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Some general knowledge I got, sir. I got the stereotype annotation, @Spring Boot application annotation, where we will do configurations, and what's the purpose of starter. We understood now. Okay, now next interview question is, in Spring Boot MVC based web application, who will pass HTTP request to the controller? Request dispatcher, na? Sir, in Spring Boot also, whenever we are giving the request, that request will be taken by request dispatcher. Request dispatcher only sending the request to the controller. We have seen already Spring MVC based architecture. So in Spring Boot also contains request dispatcher. So whenever I am giving the request, that request will be taken by request dispatcher, and request dispatcher will forward the request to the controller. Next is what here? What are the embedded server present in Spring Boot? Tomcat, Jetty, and Tau. These are the embedded built-in database, built-in servers given by the what? Spring Boot. What are the embedded servers? Actually, servers given by what here? Tomcat, Jetty, and Tau. List of embedded databases present in Spring Boot. What is available? H2, HSQL, Derby. So these are the what here? Databases supported by what here? Spring Boot, built-in database. Next, we need to see what is embedded server default port number. Because who is the default server here? Tomcat. And Tomcat default port number, you know very well, 8080. And remember, if you want to create Spring MVC based web application, which dependency we need to add? Web dependency. Web dependency. You can say web dependency. Nothing but we need to take the support of web starter. With the help of this web starter only, we can create a Spring MVC based web application. Now the question will come. Sir, I have one doubt, What is my doubt, you know? What is the default port number is coming for every server? 8080, the default is coming. But I don't need that 8080 default port number. I need my own port number. So where I need to go? Application.properties file or application.yaml file. In that, where we need to do server.port 9090. So here we will do configuration. So I am telling I don't need 8080 now. I need my server should run with what port number? 9090. So in interview, they will ask you, can you please tell me how to change the default port number of a server? So to change the default port number of a server, we need to go to applications.properties file, and there we need to write server.port is equal to 9090. Which port number you want, you write that. Understood, everyone? Online people got an idea. Shall we develop the program today? Sir. I told you now, whatever the theory you completed today, you will cover in coding now. So now what I will do, I will create the second project now. So this time also I want to print I love Spring Boot programming only. But I will not tell that one. I will tell to JSP, array JSP, you tell I love Spring Boot programming. Understood my point here, no? So that is the reason I am giving one project here. You can see the project. I am giving Spring Boot plus JSP application. So we are using Spring Boot with JSP. So what we need to do, sir? So what we need to do here, we need to create a home controller. Home controller. And one more thing it is, here application.properties file will be there. Here testing file will come automatically. You don't worry. You come down, there is a SRC will be there. Main will be there. Inside this main, we have what? Web app. Inside web app, we need to write what? Pages. In that pages, what I should write? Understood now? Where we should write JSP pages. JSP we should write inside SRC main web app. Web app folder. Web app, inside web app pages. Inside pages, index.jsp. So see here, I will create the project now. How to create the project, everybody? See how simple coding it is. Coding is very simple. I will go to STS ID. Second project of today's class. You can do only within 5 minutes. I will take file, new Spring Starter project. File, new Spring Starter project. Take click. Now internet is required. And I am giving MVC APP1 because I am creating MVC project. MVC APP1. So now tell me, here already we selected what? Maven, 8, com.ihub.ww. Everything is correct, sir. I'm not making any changes here. You check properly before you create the project. Don't simply click next button. Don't do that much hurry also. So now what you need to click? Next you click. Now we got the starter project. Now tell me, I told you now, if you see controller, because you can see the deployment directory structure. In deployment directory structure, I told you to take what here? Home controller. Remember, controller means you required web dependency. What you required? Web dependency. Don't ask me tomorrow, sir, which dependency we need to take for this project, which dependency we need to take for that project. Don't ask me. Wherever you see controller, immediately one word should come in your mouth, web dependency. So now what you need to do, you can type here. Type here Spring Web Dependency. Select that one. Selected or not? Right side it will come if it's selected. Then what you need to click? Next. Then we need to click finish. Project will create. Wait for some time. See the right side green color. It should not come. Then only touch. Otherwise wait. It is creating the project. Wait for some time. So now you got an idea how to create the project. Do we need to add jar file? Already who added a starter? Starter, which dependency? Spring Web Dependency. Spring Web Dependency already added. So now you can see here. Open that one. Expand. You can say expand. Go to pom.xml. Open pom.xml. And if you open the pom.xml, you come scroll down. You can find what? Spring Boot Starter Web. Everyone follow this naming convention only, na? Spring Boot Starter Test. So that both are there. Web and test dependencies will come automatically. Leave it. Yesterday what we did? Yesterday I went to the what? SRC main Java. I went to my base package. What's the base package? com.if.ww. And here I wrote hello world. I love Spring Boot programming. But this time I will not take this one. Close. I will not take here. I will create separate controller. Separate controller. What I should do? Right click to the package. New class. What is the class? Home controller. Home controller I created. Now tell me this class is a which class? Controller class, huh? No, normal Java class. This class will not consider as a controller class. Sir, name home controller means if I keep my name chief minister, I will become chief minister. No, man, no. So don't go to the name. So now you can see here, if you keep your name as KCR, you never become chief minister. So what I mean to say is nothing but, this is a normal Java class, sir. Suppose if you want to make this class as a controller class, we need to take stereotype annotation. What is a stereotype annotation? @controller. We have many stereotype now. Component, configuration, bean. So which stereotype annotation we need to use here? Controller. Now this class is a which class? Controller class. Now your request will go to the controller. Now whenever you are sending the request, our request dispatcher will take the request and request dispatcher will send to this controller only. Now tell me, this controller is running with what port number? 8080. Remember that point here, because it is having by default embedded server Tomcat. Embedded server will be the Tomcat. So by default, Tomcat is running with 8080. So that is different story. Now you focus here. I will say to the home controller, I will write one method here. Public string. What I'm giving? Home is my method. And I'm telling array, you return. What you can return? Index. Index you return. And I will say @request mapping. So when it has to execute, if I'm giving what? /home. Assume that you have 100 methods, man. 100 methods are there. But I want to execute home method only. So how it will execute? With request mapping. /home means home method will execute. /about method will execute. Understood my point here now? So like that is the purpose of request mapping. With the help of that request mapping, particular method will execute. So tell me, I will give request to controller. Array, controller, take my request. But controller will return what? JSP page. What's the name of the JSP? Index. So now you can see here. Same thing we are going to do here. So now what I will do now? I will return what here? What is returning? Index. So now definitely we need to go to the index page, index.jsp. See here. What is there here? src. Open. What is there? Main. Right click. New folder. You need to create one folder. What is the folder name? Web app. Inside web app, I told you to create what? Pages. Folder. What is the folder name? Pages. Inside the pages, I need what here? New. What I need? File. What's the file name? Index.jsp. Index.jsp. JSP comes. Sometimes it will open with like this. So you do one thing, you close this. Okay, you close this. You can do right click. You can say what here? Open with text editor. It will open here only. Okay, now? So it will open like this. So now here I will write what here? Center. Array, you tell center. What? H1. Array, JSP, you tell. I love Spring Boot programming. Understood my point here? So now JSP is telling. So now tell me, whenever we give the request to the controller, controller will return what? Index. Index.jsp. What index.jsp will display the message? I love Spring Boot programming. But remember one point it is, we didn't do configuration. We didn't do configuration. Now what we need to do now? I need to go to our here. You need to take this dependency, sir. Jasper dependency. So see here, you go to the pom.xml file, open the pom.xml file, open the pom.xml file. And in pom.xml file, after web dependency, you need to paste Tomcat embed Jasper dependency control S. So might be one question is coming in your mind. Sir, why we need to paste this Tomcat embed Jasper dependency? With the help of this Jasper dependency only, our application read the data from the JSP file. Suppose if you're not adding this dependency, so our application will not read JSP file. Our application will not execute JSP file. So if you want to execute JSP file, what we need to add? A Jasper dependency. Tomcat embed Jasper dependency we need to add. Okay, sir, I added. Control S, save. Okay, added now. Now you go to the applications.properties file. So see here, what we need to go. Now you go here, main resources. Where it is? Main resources. Click on main resources. What you can find? Application.properties file, open. And now here you should write server.port. Okay, wait, it will come. Server.port, what I'm using? 9090. Even we need to do spring.mvc dot spring MVC, what here? View prefix spring.mvc.view.suffix. Prefix means before. Suffix means, sir, I don't know why are you taking this configuration. Sir, you go to home controller, you wrote only index. Index means what index? It's a JSP file, na? So here I need to tell it's a dot JSP. Understood my point here? No? It's a which file? Like this. Understood my point here now? So same thing I am telling here also. You can see this. Dot what? JSP. Yes, we need to mention what? Dot JSP. So indirectly, it will return index.jsp. But tell me where your index.jsp is available. Inside web app, inside what? Web app pages slash. Understood my point here now? What is the here? Web app. After web app, pages. So that only I'm telling. Inside pages folder, your file is available. Save this. Understood now? So indirectly, it is telling index.jsp file, it is there inside what? Pages folder. Pages folder. So now over our application, over finish. Run. Right click. Run as. Run on Spring Boot. Run on Spring Boot. So now you can see this. This is a Spring Boot. And now you can see here which is server started? Tomcat server started. With what port number? 9090. Let's check the port numbers now. What I will give you. http://localhost:9090/ what I should type? Home. Home you know, na? Request mapping. Home. Home you type. What is coming? I love Spring Boot programming. Understood my point here now? Got an idea? Don't ask me tomorrow, sir, why you wrote /home. Go to the controller and ask to the controller, why you told? Because I am telling request mapping. So I am telling if home comes, then only execute this home method. Some people are thinking, this home must match. It is not like that. Method name can be anything. Request mapping name can be anything. Understood my point here now? So tell me, online people understood how to develop the second project in Spring Boot?
Yes, sir.
Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Very good, sir. Very good. So now let's see. I hope you people understood what is the purpose of what here? Controller. So wherever you see controller, Which starter we will add? Spring Web starter, or you can say web dependency. Spring Web starter we need to add whenever you see what? Controller. Anywhere you see controller, use Spring Web. But sir, my next requirement is different, sir. 5 minutes, I will wind up the session. What is my next requirement is, sir, I want to store the data in the database. I want to communicate with database. So communication with database, we cannot do by using Spring Web. We can do with the help of Spring Data JPA. Which dependency? Spring Data JPA dependency, or you can say Spring Data JPA starter. So remember that point here. So whenever if you want to create a data access layer means you are taking the data from the database, or you are communicating with the what? Database. That is called what here? Data access layer. So whenever if you want to interact with the database, remember that point here, you need to take the support of Spring Data JPA. With the help of this Spring Data JPA starter only, we can communicate with the database. So now, okay, sir, we got an idea. But I have one doubt, sir. Small doubt is there. Sir, using JDBC also we interact with the database. But in JDBC, we wrote the query. Select query, insert query, update query, delete query. So here also you only telling, sir, I am not telling, sir. You only telling that using Spring Data JPA, we are interact with the database. We are interacting with the database. Here also shall I write select query? Here also shall I write update query? No, sir, no. Why, sir? Why? If you are not writing the query, then how can we communicate with the database? See here, Spring Data JPA support repositories. What they will support? Repositories. In interview, they will ask you, can you please tell me how many repositories are there in Spring Data JPA? So remember, we have 3 repositories are there in Spring Data JPA. One is CRUD repository, paging and sorting repository, and one is JPA repository. So tell me, what is the first repository? CRUD repository. CRUD repository. Next is what? Paging and sorting repository. Last one is known as JPA repository. And do you know speciality? This repository is having ready-made methods. Ready-made methods are there here. Sir, I didn't understand, sir. Sir, if you want to store the data in the database, you don't need to write insert query. CRUD repository says, array developer, use save method. What method we should use? Save. Save means insert query. Understood my point here now? Sir, I want to read the data, sir. I want to read all the data of employee table. Our repository will say, don't write select query. You write one method, find all method, finish. So tell me, do we require any queries? Do we require Oracle database knowledge? No. So please remember, as a Java developers, we don't require any database knowledge now. We don't require to learn Oracle also. Why? Because we are taking the support of repositories, and these repositories are giving ready-made methods to you. With the help of those methods, we can do any operation. For example, I want to delete the record. So what we can do, I can say what is a delete method. If I want to update the record, I can call what here? Update method. Like that. Ready-made methods are available. So you tell me, writing query is good or using these repositories for communicating with database is good? Using repositories, na? Yes. But remember that point here, CRUD repositories methods, paging and sorting repositories methods, by default come to JPA repository. JPA repository is a very big repository. CRUD repository is having limited methods. Paging and sorting having some limited methods. But JPA repository having all the methods, including CRUD repository methods, including paging and sorting repository methods. Suppose if you want to do basic operation, insert, update, delete, use CRUD repository. If you want to do paging and sorting, that time go for what? Paging and sorting repository. No, sir, I want to do more than that operations. That time go to JPA repository, your wish. Understood, everyone? So today we are not communicating with database, but already I gave you the knowledge. Tomorrow I will start directly third application, finish, over, game over, go home. So remember that point here. So what we did, today we have learned, if we have controller, we need to add Spring Web. If you want to communicate with database, Spring Data JPA. Spring Data JPA we need to use. And remember, in Spring Data JPA, we are taking the support of repositories. And what is the stereotype annotation? @repository. For controller, @controller. For repository, @repository. For service, @service. For component, @component. These are the stereotype annotations. Understood, everybody? Online people got an idea? What's the purpose of Spring Data JPA now? Very good, sir. Very good. So what I will do, I will give the notes. Already I gave the notes to you people. It is there here only. So Spring Data JPA, don't focus on that one. You just focus on what? CRUD repository, paging and sorting, JPA repository. So more clarity I will give you tomorrow. Tomorrow when we develop the example now, but remember whatever the example I gave it to you today, try to execute and add Tomcat Jasper dependency. So if you don't add the Jasper dependency, then code will not execute. The JSP file will not execute. So please add the dependency. It is there in the notes. In notes, the dependency is available. I mentioned in the steps only. You can see here, I'm giving step 6, add Tomcat embed Jasper dependency. It is there in the notes. Please go through with that one. Practice. We'll meet in the next class and we'll continue where we stop in the today's class.